Liberalism. Liberalism is centered around the idea that each individual has basic rights and freedoms that must be respected. Liberal thinkers believe that government should only exist with the people's permission, meaning leaders are accountable to those they govern. Under liberalism, everyone is viewed as equal before the law, and no one should get special treatment because of their background. Conservatism. Conservatism is about keeping old traditions, values, and ways of life that people believe have worked well for a long time. It usually supports the idea of a strong family unit, often called the nuclear family, where parents raise children based on established moral standards. It respects organized religion, thinking that faith helps guide behavior and maintain order. It often promotes a close relationship between society and institutions like churches, schools, and the military. Conservatives believe property rights are important, meaning people should have the freedom to own things without too much government control. Moderatism. Moderatism is about staying within the boundaries of what most people find acceptable at a given time. Instead of leaning far left or far right, moderates usually prefer middle ground positions. They are often pragmatic and want solutions that make sense rather than pushing extreme changes. Moderates tend to be less passionate about politics compared to strict conservatives or liberals, but that doesn't mean they know nothing. They usually have basic knowledge and pick and choose ideas from various sides. The core idea of moderatism is stability. Moderates think that large, sudden political shifts can cause problems, so they seek policies that are widely agreeable. Capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system that focuses on private ownership of businesses, factories, and resources. In capitalism, individuals or companies own the means of production, such as factories, land, or machinery. They use these to make goods or services that they sell for profit. The idea is that competition and choice drive innovation, improve quality, and lower prices, because businesses must attract customers. Capitalism values free markets, where prices are determined by supply and demand rather than by a central authority. It encourages specialization, where people do what they are best at, leading to higher efficiency. Socialism. Socialism is an umbrella term for systems that emphasize worker ownership or strong government control over key parts of the economy. It aims to reduce economic inequality by making sure wealth and resources are more evenly distributed. In some socialist models, workers collectively own their workplaces, deciding how to produce and share profits. In others, the government might own big industries like healthcare or transportation to ensure everyone benefits. Socialists believe that too much private control leads to exploitation, where a few individuals get very rich while most people struggle. Syndicalism. Syndicalism is a form of socialism that puts labor unions at the center. It believes that workers, through their unions or syndicates, should control workplaces and industries. Instead of bosses or owners making decisions, the people who do the work would collectively decide how to run things. Unions might organize strikes, slowdowns, or other direct actions to pressure changes that favor ordinary workers. The idea is that by uniting workers across different fields, like agriculture, manufacturing, or services, you could create a decentralized system governed by workers themselves. Corporatism. Corporatism organizes society by grouping people based on their jobs, skills, and professions. Imagine a society divided into different sectors like farming, mining, healthcare, education, and engineering. Each group is represented by organizations that speak for their interests. The government, workers, and employers come together to negotiate policies that benefit everyone, at least in theory. Unlike pure capitalism, which leaves the market largely unregulated, corporatism tries to find balance through cooperation. Libertarianism. Libertarianism puts personal freedom above almost everything else. It wants very limited government power so individuals can make their own choices. Libertarians trust that people, if left alone, will figure out what's best for themselves. They believe property rights, free speech, and freedom of association are critical. To them, any unnecessary government interference in your life or business is a threat to liberty. Libertarians share some ideas with liberalism, such as equality before the law and support for basic rights like life, liberty, and property. But they usually go further, wanting fewer taxes, fewer regulations, and more private ownership. They are suspicious of government programs that take wealth from some to give to others, viewing this as a violation of individual rights. Separatism, secessionism. Separatism, also called secessionism, is about forming a new separate nation or government from an already existing one. People who support separatism usually belong to a region, ethnic group, or cultural community that feels different from the larger country they are part of. They argue that their region should break away and become independent, forming its own laws, government, and identity. This can happen for many reasons. Some want independence because they speak a different language, follow different traditions, or feel economically mistreated. Others believe they can govern themselves better than a distant authority can. Separatists usually call for peaceful negotiations, although sometimes conflicts arise if the central government refuses to let the region go. Communism. Communism envisions a world without private property, social classes, money, or states. Instead, everything is owned by the community as a whole, and people receive what they need without paying. Under this system, factories, farms, and resources are shared, and everyone contributes according to their ability. The goal is a fair, classless society where nobody exploits anyone else for profit. In theory, communism emerges after a revolution that replaces capitalism. Early stages might involve a government that represents the working class, eventually fading away as true communism takes hold. Feminism. Feminism aims to achieve equality between the sexes. Traditionally, many societies favored men in education, careers, and political decision-making, leaving women with fewer rights and opportunities. Feminism challenges these inequalities, arguing that women should have the same legal rights, professional chances, and social respect as men. This includes fighting against harmful stereotypes that say women must behave in a certain feminine way. Feminists want to remove barriers that stop women from succeeding at work, participating in politics, or expressing themselves freely. They also support changes like better access to education, fair pay, reproductive rights, and protection from violence. Anarchism. Anarchism rejects the idea that we need rulers, bosses, or centralized authority. Anarchists believe people should govern themselves through voluntary cooperation, without states, kings, or big leaders giving orders. They think most laws, police, and bureaucracies restrict personal freedom and treat people unfairly. Instead of a government forcing everyone to follow rules, anarchists propose local decision-making and voluntary groups. People would agree on norms together, solve problems collectively, and help each other without top-down commands. Environmentalism. Environmentalism, sometimes called green politics, believes that nature and the environment should guide public decisions. It focuses on protecting the planet for current and future generations. Environmentalists want us to reduce pollution, limit climate change, conserve resources, and protect wildlife habitats. They argue that if we destroy the environment, we harm ourselves. Populism. Populism focuses on the preferences and needs of the common people rather than elites or established institutions. Populists say that regular citizens know best and that their voices have been ignored by rich or powerful groups who control governments, media, and big businesses. Populism can appear in many political forms, left-wing, right-wing, or centrist, because it's mainly about championing the people against the elite. Republicanism. Republicanism centers on the idea of a government without a king or queen. Instead, power comes from the people who live in the nation. Citizens elect representatives to make laws and govern, ensuring that authority isn't inherited or based on birthright. It stands in contrast to monarchies where leadership can be passed down through royal families. Progressivism. Progressivism believes that society should always move forward, improving over time by embracing new ideas and abandoning outdated traditions that hold people back. Progressives think that we should not treat old customs as sacred if they prevent fairness, equality, or modern solutions to current problems. They often champion reforms related to education, healthcare, voting rights, and economic fairness. Imperialism. Imperialism promotes the idea that a powerful country should expand its influence, territory, or control over weaker regions. Historically, this often meant using armies to conquer new lands, extract resources, and establish colonies. Imperialist nations once argued that they were helping less developed peoples by introducing modern technology, education, or infrastructure. But critics say this was often just an excuse for taking wealth and power. Egalitarianism. Egalitarianism wants everyone to be equal in status, rights, and opportunities. It aims to remove unfair distinctions like those based on class, race, gender, or wealth. Egalitarians believe that no one should be disadvantaged by the circumstance of their birth or background. They push for policies that provide everyone with fair chances, such as equal access to education, healthcare, and good jobs. Fascism. Fascism emphasizes unity and strength under a powerful state or leader, rejecting the idea of multiple political parties or open debate. Fascists believe people are weak alone but strong when united by a single national identity or cause. They often admire strict order, discipline, and obedience. Fascist governments are authoritarian, meaning they keep tight control over the country and do not allow real opposition. Ultranationalism is central to fascism, caring only about one's own nation's interests, sometimes at the expense of others. Fascists glorify the military, believing a strong army can expand the nation's power and prestige. They often see certain groups as superior and treat outsiders with hostility. Nazism. Nazism is a type of fascism that adds a racist ideology. The Nazis believed in a pure Aryan race, which they viewed as superior to all others. They claimed that Aryans, whom they considered white, non-Jewish, heterosexual, and able-bodied, had the right to rule and improve the world. Everyone else, such as Jewish people, disabled individuals, Roma, Slavs, homosexuals, were labeled as inferior or subhuman. Under Nazism, these groups were targeted, persecuted, and murdered. The Nazis believed in eugenics, attempting to remove anyone they saw as weak or unfit from the human gene pool. They aimed to build a massive empire, conquering other nations and eliminating those they viewed as enemies. By focusing on extreme racism, violent oppression, and strict authoritarian control, Nazism represents the darkest side of political isms. Subscribe for more.